honestly. Yeah. 30 seconds to.
Okay, we're a little bit past time. Let's get started. Okay, roll call and approval of proxies, which we don't have any, so just roll call.
Campbell. Present. Dolly.
Present.
Griffin. Present. Duffman.
Present.
Hone. Knott.
Present.
Wheel.
Present.
Rogers.
Here.
Rudder. Here. Schumann. Tellinghusen.
Here.
Sala. Here. That was good. Thielen.
Present.
Light. Here. Law.
Here.
Neville. Here. Penny.
Here.
Shaw.
All right. Approval of the agenda. Does anybody have any changes, corrections to this week's agenda? Seeing none, passes by unanimous consent. How about the minutes? Did everybody have a chance to look over the minutes? Questions, comments, concerns, changes, corrections? Nothing? Passes by unanimous consent. Open floor guests, we have none, but I think we got a couple of freshmen over there. They're potentially going to be running next week, so if you want to just say your name real quick, that would be cool.
I'm Kevin Bolter. I'm Colin Swanson.
Alright, so just gonna skip down. We have no unfinished business and no new business. So, well, what's wrong with that? I mean, like,
Were the minutes from last
Yeah.
that we didn't vote on? Yeah, because we didn't approve them last time we did that.
oh, that is correct.
Oh.
I would say, I mean, we can talk about it, but because no one brought up changes to the minutes, that they would also pass by unanimous.
Do you have any?
I do not have any corrections to them, so I guess we're good.
Okay. Yes, this is fine. Unfinished business, new business, we have none this week. Open discussion. What do we got? Gotta have something. Senator Thomas.
That was not a hand.
Senator Campbell.
Could we get some details about how things are going with the concert?
Yes, you sure can. So we have moved the concert from the ice arena to the theater, which we felt was physically a better move. The sound and lights is cheaper, the venue's cheaper. We weren't having promising ticket sales to be able to fill up nearly enough for the ice arena, so the atmosphere we think is better. And also, we're hoping that ticket sales in these last few days, because people keep saying that they're buying tickets last minute. So hopefully we fill up the theater, but that's where we're at right now. We had the giveaway today. Those were tickets that we had already rationed out for promotions and giveaways. So we gave away the rest of those. Corey, if you'd like to.
Just obviously, if you're hearing students talk about the promo that's going on this week, most concerts and things when they're coming through an area, the promoters of the show do promotions the week leading up to the show. Okay, so tickets are at a cheaper rate than they were this last week, but by the time the fees are calculated, they're at about, I think it's at $22 or $23, right? So we kept it close to the initial peak of prices. Okay, we're not offering people refunds. Okay? And I understand moving to a general admission piece, we were going to try to reseat everyone in the theater and give them physical seats, but the problem is if one person bought all 4 of their tickets and then another friend was buying them at the same time and got similar seats, there was no guarantee being able to sit people next to each other, and that just complicates things from the box office standpoint. And they've been good partners, so we want to be respectful of them as well. And so it is all general admission. But it is a smaller venue as well, and all the seats in there, even if you sit to the top and the way back, are a lot closer than several of the seats in there. So obviously between Jake and I, we're trying to build some of that conversation with students. We want to keep them excited about it. The fans continue to be excited about performing on Saturday. So it's going to be a good opportunity and a great opportunity for things that we may do differently in the future. And so tickets are still on sale. I'm sure there will still be, unless we see a huge increase in the next day or two, on sale day of, that they can just go to the box office. And then we've told everyone that pre-purchase tickets that they need to go exchange their tickets so that they go into the right venue. And then the last thing that we are doing for students that pre-purchased tickets prior to the promo, they will all go into a drawing to win potential meet and greet passes. Okay, so that's kind of our way to do something else for them. Ezra.
What happens if they forget to exchange their tickets?
They'll
They
still
show up.
they would just need to go to the box office that night to switch them out. So all their tickets, new tickets, are at will call under their name. What'll happen is if they try to go into the door and they try to scan it, the ticket won't be accepted. So they need to say, it needs to say theater on it in general admission.
Are they on sale for $15 still?
So
Is
it'll
that
show
what
you
it's
that
on sale
price,
for?
but by the time the fees are in, it's
Right.
$22. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was that way to kind of keep it to that price point and what they need to show.
And, can we expect some sort of, like, report or presentation post from the concert committee?
Of course. Definitely.
I bought my tickets today, it was easy.
What'd you wait till the last minute for?
Well, I know, just making you more nervous, I guess, but I got her done.
Well, Dean Mann's going to party.
Yep.
So if you freshmen haven't bought tickets, you should do that, and you should get all your friends to do it. Good for you guys. Make our friends.
Oh, yeah.
So then on those, you'll still need to go exchange those ones too. Yep.
Any other items for open discussion?
Yeah, so freshman elections are gonna be, next Wednesday, the 12th, and we're trying to set up 2 voting booths, one in BC Commons and one in Lower Survey. So we're looking for volunteers from 11 o'clock until 2 o'clock. So if you're able to help at all, please sign up, because we have 2 voting booths on Hill on. So I'll just pass the sign up sheet around.
Just one item too. Hey Mark, have you talked to Dan Seaman about that as well? Or no, like approved?
Yeah, I went and talked to him, and he's totally okay with it. We just need to send him like an email with dates and time and stuff and what we want. So
I just wanted to make sure that one was checked off as well. Awesome. Any other discussion points? Past Vice President Rohit Dalal came into the office yesterday and talked to Brent and I for a little bit. He's always excited. If you guys haven't met Rohit, then you should. He's a great guy. But he was talking about back when he was in school, one of the major things he wanted to work on was talking about policy around train noises and the horns going through. And I think there's something out in the community as far as a petition or something being pushed around. Has anybody heard anything about that?
President Rankin received a survey,
Oh, he
and
did.
so he filled one out for the university.
Oh, okay.
And it is with the city and that, and so do you want to see if more surveys could be circulated here?
That would be great. I think more student input would
Okay,
be awesome.
let's talk about that tomorrow and get that, a call down to the mayor's office.
Perfect.
Okay?
That'd be good. And can I send that through student affairs? Have a survey?
Yes.
Cool. Any other items for open discussion? No. Alright, moving on, CFO's report.
So, finance committee met this week and we established our goals and they were the same goals that we had last week.
we also met with Heather Forney today, and the balance of the reserve account is about 1.2 million, but they have commitments against the account for just over 200,000, so it's a comfortable 900,000 to say is what she told me today. And then I also asked her about, I know we've discussed this a couple years now, but about raising the gap and putting it towards soap, and not necessarily get opinions today, but is that something that Senate would be interested in pursuing? I personally am, but any thoughts? Yes, no?
Got three.
Oh, wow, sorry.
But that would just be like a $1 or $2 increase per credit hour, or
Yeah,
how would that work?
I don't see it being anything super extreme. We would have to discuss it.
Okay,
So.
yeah.
So, I think that's a good idea, but would we obviously need like the support of the entire student body, we need a survey to be put out. So maybe like a better question would be like, do senators feel that we should send out a survey within the next couple of weeks and try to move this forward, basically?
Just a quick question about the timeline for submitting and increasing GAF. What is the exact timeline?
So to have it for next year, we would have to have like the survey done and like all of the backing done by early November, like with our proposal written and stuff, because we have to submit by November 20th to get onto their agenda for like a December 4th meeting, I think she said, and that's where like we could go present and like make our case for why like we want it to happen and why the students support it and stuff. So we have like 2 months.
Sorry, I can't.
So I mean, we can flesh this out. I personally don't know if that's a great, so coming down the pipeline, we are going to have to raise gap for utilities costs, and, janitorial stuff for the Cermak expansion. I know that's a couple years out, but we need to be careful about asking students to keep increasing and sort of prioritizing that, I guess is my own concern.
Is that a follow-up?
I spoke with Heather about like obviously there'd be a gap increase once the Cermak expansion starts, and she wasn't concerned about us trying to raise the gap for soap. We can't guarantee, like there's not 100% that it would go towards soap, but as long as we pass it like by word of mouth from like finance committee to finance committee, we could set aside like that certain like dollar amount or percentage each year and then divide up the gap like we normally would, as long as the Senate is good on their word to the students. I guess it's my only issue.
I think that a lot of the like or email surveys are kind of, you don't get a lot of input from the majority of the students. I think maybe having like an open forum and having like actual face-to-face with students would be a lot more beneficial than sending out an email survey.
With both, we are, I think that would be one as well. You're right.
I've seen the attendance of some of the open forums that we've had, and it's not great. So I don't know, maybe we should look for a different way to reach students.
These are all things that we can talk about if we decide to pursue this. I just want to know if Senate's general consensus is that this is something that we're serious about this year, or if we're just kind of like, no, we don't want to do it, kind of, I guess, is what I'm looking for today.
I guess would you guys like to do like an informal vote, maybe? Raise your hands if you're in favor.
Is that a motion?
Sure, if it needs to be a motion.
Motion made by Senator Brophy to take an informal vote about raising the gap. Seconded by,
Can I clarify what the motion is?
Yeah, so I move to have an informal vote if senators are in favor of pursuing the idea of a gap increase, which means sending out surveys and so forth.
okay. Motion made, seconded Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye, which would be in favor of pursuing a gap increase. All those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Let's do a roll call vote.
Campbell.
Nay.
Dolly.
Aye.
Grothy.
Aye.
Guthrie.
Aye.
Holm.
Aye.
Knott.
Aye.
Wheel.
Oh, nay.
Rogers.
Aye.
Rowland.
Aye.
Tillinghausen.
Nay.
DeSalvo.
Aye.
Thielen.
Aye.
Pike.
Nay.
Wah.
Aye.
DeVille.
Nay.
Penny.
Nay.
Okay. So I mean, since it's an informal vote, just let you know, we have 10 yeses. And how many noes? 5 noes.
Since there was so much discussion about how we're gonna handle like communicating with the students, maybe we should become an ad hoc committee to investigate different ways, whether it be an open forum or
I would hesitate as far as doing it ad hoc and just keeping this in-house in the finance committee as far as discussion about it, but if finance wants to work with student affairs as well to set up an forum, that would be helpful. Send her home.
Yeah, on that note, about reaching out to students, that's one of the student affairs large goals for the semester, so that's something. I just kind of thought, so what I was wondering, like, if we could send out a survey to, the organizations on campus and asking them, so if we did this, like, what would you do with this extra money? Cause I'm just curious of what what this will do, if it'll help, like, if it will actually make minds, like, put us on the map in a certain, like, organization that hasn't in the past due to, like, money constraints, so I'm just curious if we could send out a survey or a questionnaire to them.
Senator Tillman.
If we can find that whiteboard, I actually don't know where that is right now, but I know
Does anybody know where that is?
it's in a closet somewhere. But I know we had a similar type of question on the board at the end of last semester for feedback, and you all know the type of feedback we usually get, but every once in a while there is something, worthwhile that is put on that board. And so I don't know if that'd be an option we wanted to explore. Caitlin, we could look into that for student affairs
Another visual for students to see at least.
in terms of outreach and
Yeah.
interfacing with the students on this issue.
I agree. There's a lot of discussion about the common report and putting it up last year, so we might as well use it. Senator Bell.
Can we talk about like what Megan said, asking them what they use the money for and stuff at the like SOAP meetings and stuff that they're required to go to, kind of discussion that with them?
I agree that we should ask the organizations what they would do with it. We just have to make sure that we word it nicely, because if you just say, oh, what would you do with the gap increase, they'd be like, wait, you're raising my tuition, like, what are you doing? So I'm not opposed to that. I think it's great, and like, we need to be transparent with them, but we also need to be aware of how we're saying it.
And that's what I was gonna say next. We've all seen how whether it's true or not, students are very aggressive about how we're spending their money. So we need to make sure throughout this whole process that we're all on the same page, that nobody's spreading misinformation, and so last year we talked a lot about within our advisor meetings about an infographic of sorts that was supposed to go out when interim President Pajinski was in office, about how student money is spent, like the whole end-to-end process, and I don't know if that, where that got hung up, but is it possible that we can move forward with that? Because I think a lot of students would benefit.
Yeah, so we did do something kind of similar to the SOAP workshops last year. We showed a pie chart of how GAF was spent, which is part of the story. We didn't actually tell how institution money, like where tuition goes. But GAF, I think, is very important to students, and we did show them a breakdown of that. We sent it out as well afterwards.
To entire student body?
To all of the presidents of clubs.
I really think that should go out to all students, because not everyone is going to be on those mailing lists. I mean, not everyone's a president of an organization, and it's not all going to get disseminated.
Everybody.
I feel like that's something we could hang up on the common board. See what students think about that.
So I just want to take a step back and have something to say for you. So if you're raising the gap fund or the gap to get more money to organizations, and the purpose of that is to increase the SOAP fund, wouldn't there be another way without affecting the tuition money to increase the money available for SOAP?
Technically, yes, but if like we could take more money from like the overall gap that we're given to divide up between the groups that receive gap money. But if we take, like, say we take $10,000 from Survec and we put it in the SOAP part of gap, then the university has to find that $10,000 somewhere else in the budget to cover like that gap that's in Survec's budget. So like yes, we could do it, but it would create problems in other places in the budget as far as where would they take that $10,000 or whatever from.
And since we have the $900,000 in the reserve fund, can we not, if we increase the gap fund by, or the gap by like 50 cents, and we get out of that $30,000 or so? What if we take the $30,000 from the reserve fund? We have $900,000.
And we have talked about that, and I think that's something that we can talk about more, like as we like look into this more, just to see if there is an effect one year before we actually do it. Because if it doesn't work, then nothing's permanent besides we lost that money that would go back into the reserve account if organizations didn't spend it. But it is something that I think would be a good thing to do.
One other thing with the reserve fund as well, pulling out an increase for gap funds continually will eventually just bleed it dry rather than a one-time deal. So if we did it continually, that would have repercussions for in the future as well. Just a trial. Put a trial for 1 year. Send her one.
So how much money would we be getting from this increase, roughly?
Depends how much we choose to increase it. What I heard, like Ezra can maybe speak more on this, but the average student takes like 15 credits, and so then that if we increase it $1, it'd be $15 more a semester, and then with the number of students, I believe Ezra, tell me if I'm wrong, he says like 60,000 that we get.
Yeah, I think that's what Heather Forney told me.
Yeah.
$60,000 would equate to $1 gap increase.
I guess before we send a survey there asking the students, hey, what do you think about increasing the gap by this amount, and then towards SOAP, I think we should explore the possibility first of seeing how the organizations would benefit if we do this one-time thing to get the money for the reserve fund, to see how they respond to it, and see how they really benefit from it or not, and then if it actually turns out to be successful, we later another time, but this gap to use it towards SOAP. But first we do a trial with the reserve fund.
May I ask that since this is still like informal, can we wait till a presentation comes up from CFO Schuman before we continue discussion? Like, is that all right? Because then we'll have all the facts and then we can ask questions on the presentation.
Yes, feel free anytime, just to let you know. If you feel that a discussion point has been just being circular, it's in your power to motion to limit discussion to like 5 minutes or 2 minutes or whatever. So, would you like to make a motion like that?
Can I have a motion to limit discussion to 2 minutes?
Motion made to limit discussion to 2 minutes, made by Senator Guthrie, seconded by Senator Field. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor, say by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. See the motion.
Our meetings are Mondays at 4 p.m., but you can also email me if you cannot make that time, if you'd like to discuss this further and a report.
Any further questions for CFO? Seeing none, we will move on to the Vice President's report.
International Students Inc. holds the Friday night events at the International House. The address of the International House is going to be in the notes in the minutes. But there's food, music, music band, and 2 discussion groups after that talk about, I believe, religion and leadership. So we're invited to that if we want to go.
This Friday?
This Friday, yes. So if you want more information about that, you can talk to me or Anushka. It was discussed at e-board, and I got a positive response on possibly getting a messaging platform started for Student Senate, like a GroupMe or something like that, so there's more communication within Senate. I'll be looking for any recommendations or comments on that topic at some point, so yes.
Since we're all pretty much part of the Facebook page, would that be a good avenue if you wanted to do this?
I'm actually not even on the Facebook page.
Track that.
Do I,
Send out an email.
am I in charge of adding people to that? I just got made administrator like a week at the very beginning of the school year, so. Do I take people off the page?
Yes.
Okay. I will get on that. Sorry. No one told me.
Does Facebook suffice though? Has it been good in the past for? Or do we want something like GroupMe or?
WhatsApp is a good app as well. Like you use it as well.
Okay. I'll look into that.
We do a little poll right now.
Yeah.
What's our
Yeah.
Facebook?
Does anyone not have Facebook? Oh, no. Thank you.
We know Facebook.
Yes.
Okay.
She's
Never mind.
So we can discuss that more at some point.
I will.
Currently, we have 6 freshmen and 1 junior petitioning, so that's looking promising. Hopefully, we get more junior petitions. We have 7 now.
What's up?
When are they
They are due Friday. And then looking ahead at the calendar, we have Paint the Town on Sunday. Those who have signed up for are in the calendar as well, so your name is in there. And then this hour is the last one to sign up for office hours, so get that in.
Shameless. Yeah, call me out. Speaking of Paint the Town, since you brought that up, right now I have for signups, I have Anushka, maybe, Summer, Miles, Ezra, Aaron, Rosie. Is there anybody else that would like to be added to that list? It's 2 to 4 on Sunday, and locations unknown, we'll find out tomorrow.
I could, but I was gonna go with, I have a couple groups that I was gonna do it with, and I was gonna go with the group that needed the most help. So it might be Senate, it might be,
So, as of right now, we've got 6 people, so if we have another group that's,
it was gonna be either this or Lambda, so.
oh. Just want me to lean in on it.
I have a dumb question. What's the
The theme is not a theme. Basically, there's no special themes. It's all about celebrating the tradition of M Week. As you see logos, you'll see the year 1912. That was the year of the first M Week, and the M was put on the hill. So it's just incorporating your organization and the business, and what it means to be a hard rocker and all that stuff.
Thank you.
So now we don't have to draw a giant cactus or
The weird.
But
It was pretty cool though. Yeah, that's true. That was fun. Alright, there were a few hands. Any other questions?
I was just like, would you be able to send out a reminder email to the people that are in town, just in case I forget?
We can do that. Cool. 2 to 4 on Sunday. Location unknown. Okay. Any other questions for Vice President Russell?
Oh, sorry, former president.
the spot now.
Yeah.
We have another open forum.
That's why, has the time been yielded?
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Carlos Beatty Jr. I was the president in 11 to 12, I think. 10 or 11, I can't remember. So, yeah, a long time ago. So glad to see this live and well, very well.
And you moved back to Rapid City.
I have as of 2 weeks ago. I work for Black Hills Corporation now. I'm a manager out there in continuous improvement. So work for Fiat Chrysler Automobiles at headquarters in Detroit, Toyota, Denso, and then Peabody. So good to be back.
Nice. Well, thanks for coming in. And I think we've got,
Yeah, we got more chairs.
Any other questions for us?
You did say that the address would be in the minutes. Can we make sure the minutes are out before the event?
Sure.
Or
That's true. Here, why don't we just say it now?
It's gonna be at 15 Kansas City Street.
It's at the ISI house. How about anybody that wants to go meets in the Senate office prior, and then you can either walk or drive. It's not far from campus.
that's at what time again?
5. Oh, no, 6.
Okay, 6.
I've heard
We agreed on that.
So it's at 6. It's meet in the Senate office at 5:30 if you'd like to go to the ISI house for supper on Friday night and discussion. All right. Moving on, I've got a report. So the ad hoc committees are up on the contact info Google sheet. Please check out which committee that you're in and reach out to your contact person. I said no later than Friday. Please do that and do it faster if you can too. That way we can get those rolling. Sustainability, we don't have a contact person for that. You know who that is? Just the sustainability ad hoc committee, that's all I know.
I don't. It might be Geraldine Roberts
I'll ask her.
or Margaret. The other person that always comes to mind is Dr. Jennifer Benny. Is that who you're thinking of?
Okay. So we'll check on that. Key registration forms, for everybody that doesn't have a key, we're gonna be getting forms from, we actually have to go through facilities now, rather than just check them out from Cheryl. So we're gonna pick up forms tomorrow, and then you can fill that out anytime that you want. Get Corey to sign it, and then once he signs it, you can take it over to facilities and get your key checked out. That way they're just a little bit more accountable about who has keys and who doesn't. Already talked about freshman petitions and town. Does anybody have any ideas of people they would like to come see present to Senate meetings in the future? I mean, we've got one potential candidate. Senator Campbell.
I would love for us to invite Daryl, as he will be retiring.
Heather Forney offered to come present and talk more about like university finances and answer any questions that we might have about that kind of stuff.
Anybody from the community? Does anybody have contacts in the community that are doing, I guess, cool stuff that might be interesting?
I have some contacts that used to fit, and I think that it would be beneficial to bring that up.
Well, if you got,
We're going to, like, for those going to the reception for the career fair people, we can ask other companies or something to come to.
that's true.
Because I know some of them are from the area, so we could keep other people.
Potentially to where I work this past summer, which is a company you might go random chance, there was a Mars grad, and his family still lives in Deadwood, so if he's ever back in town, see if he'd be interested.
That'd be good too. Cool. Alright, well, if you think of anybody or have contacts, just let me know, and we can hopefully set something up, so. Alright. And that is the end of the report. Any questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to Constitution Committee.
Hey guys, pretty much it's short and sweet. We're still working on approval for Baja and OXE. And then we are also working on scheduling for activity reports and having like a set timeline. So that's getting that up, and otherwise just getting into some things. you guys have anything else to add?
Questions for Constitution? Seeing none, move on to governmental relations.
Alright, so we discussed a little bit about the all-in kind of voting initiative that we were maybe going to do against BH. And so how it works is if we decide to basically go with this, we would be basically submitting to this organization a list of all the students that are enrolled. And then what they do with that list is they go and track through public records who's registered to vote and who actually went and voted. And then they will provide that information back to the university, and then we would be able to view that data and see that information. Kind of figure out if they would separate it out by states on where people registered to vote or anything like that. So that's something we could look into a little closer, but the organization that does this, make sure they don't track who you voted, or like who you registered for, or who you voted for, anything like that. It's just if you registered and if you went voting.
Okay.
So we will also be looking to most likely send out a survey to students to just see if students are interested in doing something like this. If they are, trying to get a little more details and see if we want to get set up or not. We also are working on setting up for the freshman elections. So we're making a poster that we'll be putting out here soon, just letting everyone know when the elections are and how to go and vote on that. We got the voting booth sign-up sheet that we're going to be, well, actually we already got some names on that, so that's good to go. And then we're working at getting the website set up as well for that. Yeah, that's what I'm report.
For the all-in challenge, do you happen to know what the application timeline is for that?
I can check real quick. I don't know that we'll be able to get in before this upcoming election, so it might be something that we have to wait a couple of years before it's actually used, but I'll double check on that, but do you believe we can send it to us through June 6th or something? Or June or something?
He sent it out in like
I could be wrong, but I don't know.
late July, something like that. So, okay, Senator Campbell?
And did you say you have to provide them a list of all their students and all that so they can track them?
Yeah.
Do the student have to opt into that, or are we just sending all of our student data to a third party? Because
Yeah, so that's, we'd be basically just submitting it.
Yeah. So I would encourage you obviously to visit with Phil Hunt, the registrar. Don't quote me on this, but names I think are considered directory information, and so you may be okay. Obviously, the concerns would be as if there are any special holds or requests from any students, and then Phil can work you through that process. But it was similar with ID information when we were doing concerts. That wasn't trying to anything, but most of that's under directory, so visit with Phil.
Any other questions for GR?
I guess just on that, just make sure that we think about that, even though, it's not considered, personal, private information, whatever. It is still information that we're handing out, and we don't really know what their security setup is, so it's complicated.
Alright. Public relations?
Okay, our Senator of the Week is Senator Roder. Congratulations. And now PR is now in charge of the morale event. So our group came up with 3 ideas. So I'm going to pass it around. Please write your name under the one you pick, and only pick one. And then we'll tally up and look at the names. Camping is no longer an option. Yeah, that's on there. He was asking if bowling was an option. And then we're going to work on getting access to the webpage, and then that's all I have for my report.
Any questions?
Is there like a constitutional change? Because I know in like the Constitution, the Governmental Relations Committee had been in the past, and it's like in the Constitution that's their duty for morale event. Sorry.
Oh, is it in the bylaws?
I'm pretty sure it's in our Constitution. Like,
Just
so you're aware.
Guess we'll have to check up on that. Again.
Are you still planning on doing, like, and maybe I just missed this, but like highlighting of student orders?
Yeah, we're thinking of starting that like next month.
Okay.
When we, people start, organizations start doing more things.
Sounds good.
When you're updating the website, once you get like the login for that, do you think you could put the SOAP constitution on there too, just so it's easy access for students instead of the background?
Yeah, we will get that up there.
Did you say camping was out of the morale event? Why?
We thought because tentative the date set was the same day everyone's going to Pier, so it'd be the night of the trip when they get back. So we didn't know if everyone would be up for an overnight adventure. So that's why it got removed.
It's not that
It can still happen.
I mean, we can do another one, I guess. But yeah, that's why we didn't put camping, because we thought people would be tired.
Also, don't forget to do your senator of the week.
Please nominate people.
Or try to get very angry.
Because we live inside, we would have to take someone out of the room.
True.
Any further questions for public relations? Alright, moving on to first.
Okay, so I'm starting to work with Rowdy Rockers to figure out a day that we can go help out, or just really get all of the dates so that you all have the dates so you can go to any that you can. I'm representing Senate and also just student morale, school spirit, that's what I'm doing. Also, I came unaware of the 1 through 5 app, so I now have that.
What?
I was like here. Yeah, no, I didn't hear anything about it, so now I know. And we're gonna work on that and get excited about games.
So does, I'm sorry to interrupt, does everybody know what the 1 through 5 app, does anybody not know what the 1 through 5? Okay, so essentially it's an app that tracks points. You go to games or events and you check in, and you can check in by geolocation, so you actually have to be there. You rack up points and you can earn prizes. Last year's student affairs committee was looking into doing a potential scholarship that was associated with it to try to increase student activity and attendance at activities. And so that's something that has originated from the athletics department, but could eventually merge over into student events, just so we can get attendance up. Currently, we are not investing any money in that, so if anybody asks, we have no money in that at all. So
is this something that we were supposed to like advertise or talk about it in general?
it's not a student senate driven or run app, and so it's just one of the campus. We should be promoting it as well because I mean it's campus events, of course. It's not specifically our
And then the other things is just looking at, like we were talking about earlier, the best ways to reach out to students because we bring up surveys and then people say, well, that doesn't work, and we bring up forums and people say, well, that doesn't work. So trying to figure out what communicates best or what combination of things communicate best. And one through the comment board, getting that back and going. And then secondly, also going back to our idea of a weekly forum that like 2 senators are responsible for every week. And having it at a time where people can actually come, because I know that's been a problem with a lot of the forums. I know that was a problem with some of the opportunities to interview the potential candidates for different positions was that students couldn't make it because they had class, and so making sure that we have it at good times, just every week or at different times every week. And so just as an FYI, that might be something that senators are responsible for in the future. So obviously input is welcome for that because it is a potential added responsibility for each of you. If there's any concerns or questions on that. No?
Any questions for I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry. I was just on that note. Been still working with some transfer students. Evan went and talked to the Student Success Center about peer mentors because one of the transfer student I had spoken to was assigned to a peer mentor that was on co-op. So there was some confusion, and then either that wasn't the case, or he was reassigned and now has a peer mentor here, but he hadn't heard anything from his peer mentor. And so especially for transfer students, we want to make sure that they have that peer mentor in the first couple, like at least like that first week is really important to be able to get adjusted and get in the rhythm of things. And then talking to admissions, because he never received an admissions letter. Didn't even know he was accepted and got an email about housing. And then a potential web advisor video of just a person saying like, this is how you register for classes, to kind of make that process easier. I know our admissions counselors generally do it for freshmen, but for our transfer students. And then for the comment box, we're addressing a couple comments. There was an issue with athletes not being able to make the new cafeteria hours, but that's already been addressed. It just wasn't communicated to all of the teams yet. So that Shelby took care of that. And a couple other, and trying to figure out the best way to respond to anonymous comments. Like if there's just a misconception, for example, it's a comment about athletic scholarships, how like they don't think that should be a thing, even though that those are entirely fundraised, and so that's kind of like a misconception. So how do we address that to an anonymous comment? So something we'll try and figure out in the future as well. And if there's any suggestions on that. Yes.
I don't know if it's the right thing for it, but maybe visit it with the Orem. So maybe there's this, with the newspaper, maybe there's a section there that here are some of the things that can be addressed. And I don't know how their staffing is looking. I know it was a little low going into the summer, and so obviously looking for people to be writing stuff for it anyway. But that could be a way to get it out into the students.
I write for the Orem, and I would be interested in writing that column.
There.
Also, I could see how comments maybe would be anonymous, but maybe if there was an optional name, email address for questions, and if they just wanted to get an email back, we could add that to the bottom of our list.
I don't know if the slips are out there, because these were just on like pieces of paper that people slipped in the comment box, so it wasn't like, write your comment here, like, write, you know.
I got you. Yeah, maybe we could print some up, put them next to the board.
Further questions, comments? Did any campus or ad hoc committees meet in the last couple of days? I know there's one tonight, correct?
7:15.
That is Student Athletic Advisory Committee? Okay, perfect. All right, upcoming Senate business. What do you got? Yeah, paint time, unpainted time.
October 16th and 18th are soap workshops.
Okay.
So if you're curious to learn more about soap, attend one of those days. 6:30 to 9:30 in CB 204. It doesn't mean it's going to be 3 hours long. That's just how long I'm going for. Just to clarify that.
It's usually like 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah. Unless there's like some questions, but
Are those things like they come and they go, or is it like they stay for your
you should be there at 6:30 because there's a presentation.
Okay.
And like if you know an organization that wants to apply for soap funds, you have to go to one of these nights to qualify.
AM or PM?
Yeah.
That's valid.
Could happen. Could happen.
The class project group is meeting tomorrow, and the class project for this fall is the pergola and a picnic table outside the EE building. And then who's going to graduate in 2019? Yeah. Which either semester, 2019, spring or fall. And so that class project is up in the air. And so anybody graduating in 2019, it would be great if you could come. It's tomorrow at 4, and it'll be in the Door Conference Room.
I'm gonna have to backtrack into my report again, because I forgot to add one point. I got an email like 30 minutes ago. The NCBN is asking to form a committee. Let me pull up the email real quick. So, our contract with Regional Health as our health services on campus is coming up. This is our last year. And so we need to form a committee to work through the bidding process to get a new contract for the next few years. Is there anybody that would be interested in being on that committee? Okay, I'm gonna write this down.
Campbell, Will, not Holly, Melinda, Julie.
Cool. Alright, I'll be sending out an email to Dan and include you all on it, and we can get that together as well. So, any other upcoming Senate business? Now we'll move to announcements. Announcements? Goes once. Twice. Senator Bill.
Just want to remind everybody that Secret Santa is right around the corner, so start thinking about what you want to do for that.
It's coming up. Thank you.
Make sure you sign the sheet before you leave.
Question. Oh, the morale sheet. Make sure you sign the morale sheet before you leave.
It already,
So in the Constitution, it's technically under GR.
It is technically under GR.
Oh.
Alright, camping is back on the table.
We have like 5.
The sheet's still going around. We could also go
Let me
camping.
just throw it away if I don't have to take it.
All that work for nothing.
Where's the
I
messaging?
signed
So much work making.
We could still also go camping.
Is there the messaging tally sheet going around as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so that,
Did it get
just
over
make sure
here?
that gets.
Did it get over here?
I will.
Yeah, I got 10.
Perfect.
Mark.
Please make sure you sign that by the end of the meeting tonight. Any other announcements?
Is this your penguins call?
Yes.
Senator Bill.
I move to adjourn.
Yeah, that's actually.
There's been a motion made to adjourn by Senator Grothy, seconded by Senator Telling-Husen. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned.
I know. Did you open it one more time?
Yeah. I was just thinking about it.
You know, it's a short meeting, so you gotta stay printed
Hey, don't forget to get your key registration form tomorrow afternoon to any time after that.
Will they be in the Senate office?
Yeah, I'll bring them in the Senate office.
So, do they go there?
Yeah.
So this is special. Okay, so what we're gonna do is you have access to this here. It's your link for the brand. So what I would do is between that and the other one, we're gonna have all the contact information, reach out to them and say, hey, see you later. Say, hey, we're looking at you right, and then your meeting after. And then once everything gets approved, then just let me know. And then you know details about everyone, information,
Let's keep it so we can.